Hello there,
What's
Daggz.
up,
How are you?
bro? How we doing, man?
I am doing amazing. Again, was really figuring this thing out. So believe me, please forgive me. Forgive me.
You're good, dude. You're good. I've never done one of these either, actually, so this is new for me
So
too.
it's a first for both of us. Okay.
Heck yeah.
Well then,
Making it happen, bro.
we're making it happen. Yes, we have to just roll with the punches. And again, thank you so much for not only being my first ever guest, like being here, and like doing this with me, but
Sure. For sure, man. Oh, actually, look, I got this fancy tripod. I can actually put my let me see if I can get this up on I mean, that works actually too, kind of. I'm just trying to set my phone down
right.
here.
Nope, but hey, take your time with the tripod. Believe me, I have my little, rendition of tripods here and there when I do my interviews too. I my fancy one is just one I got recently called the Ten Kyle, feature on feature on Shark
I
Tank.
got, oh, that sounds sick. I got one of these things right here. It's pretty dope.
That's
This will work.
exactly the ones my mom has. She has a similar one as well for her work as well. Yeah, we're both kind of like tripod addicts doing our own version of content, that type of thing. So
Sure.
birds of a flood,
There we go.
birds of a feather, I guess.
Yeah. That'll do, right? That's good. Hell yeah.
Thank you. But again, it's not about me and my tripods. It's about you and the legacy you have left in the EDM industry. First things first, I have to say this right here, right now. I've done my research like I always do when it comes to the people who I choose to interview, whether IRL, virtually, or in real life. But here's the thing. I had no idea how deep the Daggz journey truly went.
Ooh.
Because people would think that like the first few works you made officially was Free Your Mind and your little closing remix, which
Sure.
incredible. So proud of that. But your love for EDM goes deeper, and I mean really deeper. I mean, I had to scroll through the old days of Facebook to
Ooh.
really see how deep it went. First things first, I have to say, you had a friend that you used to do some work with, and this company called LA Entertainment was kind of like giving you
Yep.
the opportunity to really put your name out there with you, Daggz, Ryan Daggz, and your friend named Jordan Scwartz. Could you maybe
True.
explain more about that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's wow. Wow. You really literally went to the very beginning there, I think, huh? So when I was like
Absolutely.
nine, yeah, you did it. You did your true journalist.
Thank you.
So
Appreciate
yeah, back shoot, I was 19, 20. I dropped out of college, frankly. I went to Fredonia, and then I was studying music business there. I came back home to Rochester and I started to kind of do club gigs. This is before I even touched production. Basically, long story short, for about 5, 6 years in Rochester, New York, I just worked club gigs and did pop up shows and events and college party things. You know what I mean? So it was just kind of like a gun for hire DJ. Was doing a lot of house and techno and dubstep. This is kind of right when like because I'm 34 now, right? So I'm like a little older. So this was 15 years ago, 14,
it.
15 years ago. So around that time was like when like Diplo and Skrillex and Dylan Francis and like that kind of stuff was popping off. So Scwartz and I, we the two of us had like a tag team project in Rochester. So we would do pop-up like bass music shows or house and techno shows kind of in Rochester at various spots. And we started to kind of develop a love for multiple forms of electronic music, but specifically like the Pretty Lights Grammatic kind of like sound. And so he was really into like jam electronic kind of stuff. And so was I at the time. And then we started this little project we called Schwags. So Schwartz and Daggz
Mhm.
together. And he was a live drummer and I like made, the beats. I mean, we both did the production, but so basically right at the tail end of like my Rochester club kind of effort career thing where I was like really running around playing a bunch of shows, we started this like dual project doing this live thing. And I actually temporarily, most people don't know this, I moved to Denver for like 3 months at 24, 25-ish age. And I was literally only there for 3 months. I was going to stay out there with him. He was working in the weed industry, and we were going to like try to start the project up out there. Long story short, there I had a girl that I was seeing back home who I'm still with. We have a kid now together, and we've been together
Yes,
like 10
congratulations
years.
on the
Yeah,
baby boy. He's
thank you,
beautiful.
sir. Yeah, man, it's good. Being a dad rules. All the cliches are true and all that. But so I went out to Denver with Scwartz, and Scwartz and I was like really into Paulina, my girl, and I had to kind of come back, and then I just built from there. Upon returning, that's when I started to focus my attention on production and like developing my solo project, which from 25 to 28 roughly was
Hmm.
all that. 3 years of just burying myself in Ableton and you know what I mean, just trying to build this up and release my first song, which you said "Free Your Mind." That was
Right.
28 years old, 29 years old, right when I turned 29. So yeah,
Wow.
there's the story.
Right. And so, well, we also get some love to, of course, people who inspired you, who like really wanted you to like progress on this path. Of course, you gotta thank Scwartz for being there, like in that moment in time. Really, I gotta give my props to you for really putting Rochester and New York City on the map and letting people know that there is some amazing talent and a lot of beauty in a place like
Sure.
Rochester. And then of course, we move on to like the 3 years, like you mentioned, you were just working on production. Was this like definitely before For Your Mind? Was this like I'll say like 2018, 17, 16, you were like trying to like make your own original work, trying to find
Yeah,
your sound?
exactly. Yeah, so right. Yeah, so what years would those have been? Yeah, 2016 through 2019, 2020, I think is like really when I was building things up and I had moved back from Denver and still was like gigging here in Rochester, doing stuff like locally, but just a lot less. It wasn't like a full-time thing as much anymore.
Mhm.
But oh, what's up, Baseface? Baseface is
Yeah,
from Rochester too. There's
that's
actually
like
quite a
in
few
Rochester too.
producers from Rochester and Buffalo area in particular that most people don't realize. So like Kill the Noise is from Rochester. Wooly, Adam is from Rochester.
That's
Codes is from Rochester.
right.
DJ E's like three-time DMC world champions from Rochester. I mean, even Buffalo, you got dudes like Grabbits, and I mean, there's a ton. There's honestly a ton of like electronic music artists that come from this area.
Yeah,
So
it's
yeah, man.
amazing. So Rochester is definitely like a NY a New York melting pot for a lot of incredible rising artists. Well, why am I saying
Agreed.
rising? People really who have been grinding and like leaving their mark. Especially like you mentioned of course Grabbits. Well, I had a chance to interview a few years ago, 2021, and I'm just so proud of the evolution he went through as well, from 2012 around 2011 to where he is now. It's beautiful to witness, and same thing for you as well, seeing the evolution you had. Now, speaking of which, the evolution, like we go to the song For Your Mind, you said you want to do something a bit differently. Of course, you were in the house in techno, that's what you were playing in the past,
Mhm.
but I'll read this little excerpt from Facebook when you wrote this. I spent a lot of time exploring ancient history, historic texts, theories on the divine intervention and Genesis, what it means to raise consciousness, how we do this, etc. So many who gather to support these show festival scenes do so because they are searching for a more spiritual connection, a raise in their vibration, their relationship with others in the pursuit of the same. Stating that you are side knowing there should be room for a little more dialogue and conversation in electronic music. Where did that like philosophy of that musical philosophy come to be?
Yeah, that's a good. I like that you're bringing that part of it up because it definitely is important to me. I think yeah. So that's cool. That was from I think that was like the Free Your Mind post. I think I posted that dialogue to
Mm-hmm.
describe. I mean, yeah. So basically, for all those years, while I was like focusing on what I wanted my sound to be, it was a lot of I've always been super curious in ancient history and occult stuff, mysticism, alchemy stuff. I was always interested in it. Obviously, even before that, it's like conspiracy stuff, any kind of weird, like sci-fi sort of stuff, fantasy stuff. I was always into it. But then I kind of started to dive specifically into, we'll call them schools of thought or mystery schools to use like a more catchy name for it. But it's you have different schools of thought like Gnosticism, Hermeticism. You've got Rosicrucianism for a more kind of Christian. There's like Masonic stuff. There's all these different kinds of like um, not so well known or as openly discussed theories and philosophies on a number of things. I mean, it ranges from anything from metaphysical stuff to spiritual concepts and afterlife stuff. Physical mental health and integration of mind body, all these kinds of even just things like hermeticism, to me, cause and effect, polarity, transmutation, magnetism, all that stuff, when you really look into it, it just um, it really evokes this sense of empowerment or inspiration in me about what the potential we have as individuals to heal and to change for the better and to attract what we want in this life and to create the world that we want to see. And so I think all of those felt like cheat codes or like cool little useful tools that I can use to better my own self and understand the bigger picture of what might be going on in the world. And so I think that stuff got me so inspired and so excited, and I wanted to just share that information and start learning more by discussing it with people through the music, right? So it was like it gave a very clear focus, for me to create. It every time I sit down, it's like sometimes I'm just trying to have fun, like make a rhythm tune once in a while, right? But like a lot of my music, it does have a very clear intention of a message I'm trying to get across, some kind of useful information to get people's heads turning about what might be true or what might not be. And so I think if it wasn't for that, I don't really know that I would be that if it wasn't for all the things that I had read, I don't know that this project would have existed. You know what I mean? Because it's a fundamental part of the inspiration for why I create. Like making club tunes is fun here and there, but this whole project means a lot more to me than just entertaining people. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. I mean, it was a lot of that reading and a lot of the exploring of those spaces and reading of those texts, and that kind of gave me a lot of focus and drive to do this, if that answers your question.
It does, and that is amazing to hear. It really does open my eyes. Well, I say open my eyes, open my mind to like what you really understand and what you're trying to give to the EDM industry nowadays. And this journey has definitely taken you to some amazing places. Not only opening at certain festivals like I think UNS Festival and of course Lost Lands, legendary, to also working and collaborating with some pretty amazing people like Josh Teed, one of the amazing EDM violins we have in our modern day, to people like Steph Our Beats, who I had a chance to interview as well, with the song Open Your Mind. But my question to you is this. In a lot of the original songs you make, it could either be your singles or some of your EPs, what is a message that you feel like you want people to understand or listen to that can really, something that we should like really remember, if anything, when it comes to Daggz?
Yeah, man. You're asking some good questions, bro. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you. It's
I mean,
take your
all right. So I
take your
guess
time. There's a lot of songs to choose from, and they all have some really amazing lessons and messages to take in. I could choose one of mine, but I want to hear from the guy himself.
sure. Yeah. I'll give you a few things. So recently, I've been diving into a lot of Jungian stuff. I've always kind of been into Carl Jung's general ideas, but I never really gave it the deep dive and like really gone through some of his stuff. And he has this idea called the process of individuation, which is this idea of integrating all the darker, more unpleasant parts of your own psyche, so to speak, right? Like maybe your own desires or your envy or jealousy, things about you that maybe you repress that you don't really want to acknowledge. And he talks about how like that the idea of not being honest with your own self creates this distortion or disruption almost in the flow of consciousness and energy in the body. And so the process of integration and individuation, he calls it, is this idea of marrying the darker parts of your nature, right, or the lower nature with your higher aspirations and better intentions, right? So I think maybe to summarize that and try to briefly encapsulate that into like a couple sentences would be the idea of integrity, or the idea of being honest with yourself on a deep internal level will yield a healthier, happier, more fulfilling life for yourself. So you can, it's being honest with other people is one thing, and that's great. We should do that too. But being honest with your own self about what you truly know and feel deep in your gut and deep in your heart about what's true and right about your thinking patterns and the animosity you might harbor, anything negative that you have to try and integrate it, understand it, almost forgive it, and sort of blend it with your higher aspirations, right? And so that's kind of where like Hermeticism talks about that being transmutation. You know, there's a lot of different ways to kind of describe that, but you have an immense amount of power within you to have the life you want and have the health you want, and a lot of that I think comes down to how honest you are with yourself and your own personal integrity. So that's one like interesting message that some of this my music kind of lends to. Open your mind, free your mind, um even like I don't know. So that's like maybe one thing. Maybe one other thing I'll add is this idea that we truly don't know so much. There's so much we don't understand. Even when you look at the out of body experiences or the psychedelic experiences, like the song Avatar talks about astral projection and moving your like even Thoth and the Emerald Tablets talks about moving his consciousness beyond planetary systems through the cosmos. And so there's so much we don't really understand about consciousness and the nature of the spirit. And so because of that, stay ever curious and ever open to what might be true and what might be possible. And that's another kind of keystone message with the project, is just keep an open mind as much as you can about things and listen to what people have to say. Really listen. Don't shut yourself off from things. I guess that's another little tidbit, I guess, or theme in my project.
Understood. That is amazing to hear. Thank you so much for that information. So we understand like what the theme is regarding the song Avatar, but regarding the term of individuation, what song speaks of that a lot more? If we could listen to that song to understand that.
Next week, I'm gonna post a few clips of some tunes I'm working on, and one of those clips is gonna feature some. Yeah, one of the clips is gonna feature some dialogue, some Jungian dialogue, and I think you'll get so that's more of like an upcoming thing. That's not as much of a currently released thing, but yeah, so coming soon, next week.
Understood. I can hardly wait to hear that, and I got definitely going to do a little research about individuation and understand that, because I feel that's something a lot of us as humans should really understand. Like, we do have our benefits, we do have our good sides about us, but it's okay to embrace what is negative of us, because it's just what makes us who we are. Like, it doesn't make you any less of a human, it doesn't make you any like into like a bad or psychotic person. No, it's just you being you, and you should be comfortable with that. All the good, all the bad. And it's not about like taking that bad and throwing it away. Sometimes it's just about coping with it and like understanding how that come to be within yourself. So I always love hearing songs like hearing people like have this type of work where it makes us really think deep about ourselves and like make us be in touch with our mind, body, and spirit, and what kind of like is pushing us or controlling us, that type of thing. So Daggz, thanks for being one of our musical teachers of the modern day. And speaking of which, I mean, here, since you collaborate with a few people here and there, like Malachi, I mentioned Josh Teed, I was going to say Champa because he remixed Nightmare Sonata, but I'll throw Champa in here too. Have you heard about this artist named Dice Man?
Yeah, I know Dice Man. Yeah, he's in New York, right? I've never met him, I don't personally, but I know him. He does like the dub day stuff in New York, right?
Right, and not to mention, he has a knack for telling stories and making some very thought-provoking poetry. Cool. I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe he can be the lyricist, like, writing some words and whatnot, and combined with your music, combined with your sounds, you can make something beautiful. I don't know, an EP album, I don't know what. I feel like you two would definitely make some magic together, some really thought-provoking, teaching professor type magic. We could definitely use that. I'm just putting it out there. Take it or leave it. Dice Man is definitely one of those people who really connected with me in that similar way. So I had to put his name out there.
I like it. Dice Man, where you at? What's good?
I'll make sure I let him know. Dice Man, Daggz wants to know where you're at. Let's make a little something. You write the poetry, he brings the sounds.
Sure.
That would be beautiful. Sure. And now, regarding the people you're going to be going on your lineup with, like so far 2025, this year is going to be setting up to be one of the best years of Daggz right now. We have you being with Mersiv and Inzo. I saw Mersiv in the chat. That's kind of incredible. We also have Super Future, and of course we have, I believe it was not Recto. It was Mersiv, Inzo, Super Future. I think it was a third tour as well. You're going to be part of. I was gonna
It's
say
just uh,
I
there's
wrote it
some dates
down.
with there's some dates with Josh and Super Future. Yeah, I got those, and then there's the Inzo Mersiv stuff, and then there's a couple random things coming up too later in spring. You know, so yeah, man, it's busy time. It's good. Life is good,
So
bro.
my question is, regarding some of these artists that you're going to be in the lineup with, is there an artist like in there that you have really looked up to? Because I feel like let's start with Mersiv and Inzo. Because what made you? How did it feel for you to be brought into the digital drive tour of Mersiv and Inzo? It's a pretty big tour,
Yep.
already running pretty strong. How did it feel to be part of that lineup?
Uh, I mean, I think most of it is has to do with just I know Mike Inzo pretty well now. You know, he's a pretty good buddy of mine. I love the kid. He makes amazing music. You asked about inspirations. I mean, he certainly is one of them. Especially, you know, you talk about like messaging and music and you know the general themes about his project. And I might go a little darker than he does, but in a lot of the more positive, uplifting, spiritual ways, I think we relate. You know, in a lot of ways. So. Yeah, man. I think I was lucky enough to have Mike put my name in the hat for opening possibilities, right? So I think I just got put on it through his suggestions, and then also my management company, Mind Warp. The
My
team
more
there
band.
works with Mersiv.
Love those guys.
Yeah. So they're like with Mersiv, and they are part of the team that set the tour up and everything. And so I think that also probably had something to do with it. And yeah, man, just like being connected with a couple of the right people and being friends with Mike, I think helps a lot. And yeah, man, so stoked. Hopefully more with Mike coming up too. And we're cooking a tune together right now that's sounding pretty sick that I'm excited to share with people when the time is right. Yeah, man, things good.
I can hardly wait to hear that. That's amazing. Thank you so much. And now I have to. This is the question I asked because you've been all over the place regarding, like, ever since you began your original work and then moving on to where you are now. Is there any pros or cons or any differences between, like, being on a tour to, like, let's say, performing at a festival or doing like a one-off show, a Daggz one-off show? Because I know some people prefer festivals, they prefer tours, they prefer just doing like simple, like
Yeah.
smaller shows. Where is it aligned with you?
Um, there's pros and cons to all that stuff. I think I personally am a big like foodie. I like to see new cities, so it's kind of nice doing tours because you just pull up, you can like go out and get dinner with the boys or whatever, and then go play the show. And when it comes to the tour stuff, it's such a big operation. There's quite a fair bit of hospitality and like everything's super comfortable. I'm not, I don't require a whole lot of comfort or whatever, but it's nice. I think as I'm like 34, I got a kid. I'm a little bit older, so it's nice to kind of just pull up to a place and everything's kind of handled and yeah, like a smoother night. I think sometimes with festivals, things just inherently get a little bit more chaotic. It's just kind of like a little bit more random and free for all. That just kind of depends on the festival, I think. I will say, like Lost Lands, for example, really takes care of you. They're like a pretty elite team. You know what I mean? Soundhaven this past year did a great job with that too. But in the early stages, when you're kind of up and coming, festivals can be a little bit of a rat race. It's a little bit of figure it out yourself. Good luck, kind of thing, which like is fine. But I think if you're in that respect, I kind of like the tour stuff more. But sometimes being in festival settings is great. There's so many more people. There's a lot more engagement. I get to like have more deep conversations with people when you're doing these big shows. You're a little disconnected. You don't really know as many people. I think festival settings are like uh, a lot better for connecting with the fan base, I guess you would say, or connecting with just other people like in the music and other producers. So yeah, there's pros and cons, man. I like them both for different reasons, I'd say.
Understood. Thanks so much for that insight. And we already kind of touched on this a tiny bit here and there regarding what is coming up next for Daggz.
Mhm.
But I'm next question anyway. What is going to be next for Daggz?
Yeah, cool. All right, good. Yeah. So first up, this Easy Bake collab we've been sitting on for like a year. We're gonna drop in a month or so. So like I think first week of March we're dropping that. We're gearing up, preparing for all that stuff, and we're gonna drop that, and I made this like VIP. We made it for, just to spice up the live shows and keep people on their toes. So we've got like a VIP of the unreleased tune, which was kind of funny because that doesn't usually happen. You don't usually make the VIP before the tune's released, but
Right.
I don't know. I had the idea. I had to run it. So yeah, that one's coming out. Following that, me and Feel are working on like a vibey kind of more Qualia-esque tune right now that we're looking to put out like mid-spring area. Definitely a big gear switch from some of the last like more bangery things I've been making.
Mm-hmm.
So dropping that with him. I'm working on so me and Lumacy got a tune together. Me and this dude Schmucks. Schmucks is the boy. He's really really sick producer. He's on the come up for sure. And me and him got a tune, and then I got this. So basically, I'd say like the next few months is we got the Easy Bay collab, dropping this Feel thing with Qualia. Then we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna do like a 2-track mini EP of mid-tempo stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then Lumacy collab. Other things in the works too. The thing with Inzo, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, just trying to map out releases for the first half of this year, and then yeah, just mostly just kind of like cranking on getting some figuring out festival bookings and preparing for the summer, that kind of thing. So
Right. And now this begs the question, while I was hearing all that, it begs the question now, what's got you into like wanting to do a bit of mid-tempo? That was a bit of a surprise.
sure, yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's a combination of a few things. I think I'm a little schizo when it comes to inspiration. Like I'm kind of all over the place. Like things just hit and I try to run with it. I also like the idea, frankly, for my performance to be a little bit like you don't really know what I'm gonna do. Like I like the idea of being able to play a more, I don't know, we'll say like more of like the psychedelic tippery kind of crowd. Like I like to be able to I could go to that kind of an event and perform and it would still work. Yet I could also do like, maybe like a
Sorry, Daggz, your audio kind of cut off a bit. Audio kind of cut off a bit. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Daggz. You're kind of cut off a bit right there.
oh, I'm sorry, man. Hold on one second. I had to call come through. Is that why? I think I had a call come through.
You have to make sure. You have to make sure when you're on IG Live, you turn the do not disturb. Do not disturb. You gotta put that on there.
Gotcha. I did now, though. I did now. Okay, because did I freeze too? Did I freeze up?
You froze a bit
too. All right, am I good now? Am I
good now? You're good now. You're good now.
All right, so I'll go back to
okay.
that.
Yeah, you were cut me.
Yeah, I don't remember where I was cut off, but I'll just kind of go from around the beginning of that. So I like to make a broad range of things so that I can play a broad range of shows. I think it's nice to be able to play psychedelic, tippery, mid-tempo stuff and like also be able to plug into that scene a little bit and play music because I really am inspired and love all that stuff too. And I like also the like the bangery dubstep rhythm stuff here and there, so I like to make stuff like that. So if you put me on a lineup, I could probably deliver in either setting. I could play a more groovy down tempo thing too, and I think making mid tempo was like a way to challenge myself to bring my sound and some of my concepts and put it in a little bit of a different space that allows me to be a good candidate to play a variety of shows, if that makes sense.
It definitely makes sense. And hey, what's life about a little bit of a challenge? I feel like someone like you, after what I've been hearing so far in your sounds, something tells me mid-tempo, you're going to nail the mid-tempo. Who knows? Right now, it's just going to be like a little 2-track EP, but who knows? Yeah. Next up, you could probably leave your mark on, I don't know, Hypnovision. I know Rez loves themselves some mid-tempo. You never know. Throwing that out there. Yeah. They have their own little label already, so I feel like it could happen. It could happen. Now, the question I want to ask as well is this. If, and I'm only saying if, but I feel like it's definitely going to be certain, if you choose to either make your own little headline tour or your little headline show, who's the artist you would want to have in your lineup?
Who would I want on my lineup? Oh, that's a good question. I mean, that depends. That's kind of a hard one. I mean, there's a lot of people I'd want on the lineup. I mean, obviously, You know, all the Qualia boys are good friends of mine. We've been friends for the, you know, since kind of the beginning of the project. So it's always great to do shows with all them, and we have some stuff cooking for this year on that front. Um, so I don't know, man. Like, who would I want? Like, could I like? You mean my like dream
Your,
lineup? Like,
your
who would I
dream
want?
line,
Yeah. Okay. Shit.
you're
I
the
don't know.
one.
That's
You're
kind
the
of
one
hard.
who's in control. You're the headliner. You're the one picking who you want. Who is it gonna
Yeah,
be
that's
on
hard,
that
dude.
line? Whether it's a show, whether it's a tour, it's all you. It's your name in flashing lights.
Oh, I mean, practically speaking, I mean, I'd like to put like Flume and Shades and you know, I don't know, Saruta or something on the lineup. Like, I don't know, like I mean, if I was huge and they would be supporter, I would even, yeah, I don't know that. Like, I just told you artists that inspire me. I mean, if I was being practical about like if I was a headliner and like who would be supporting, man, that's it's hard to kind of even imagine.
Take your time. Take your time.
Gee, man, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, yeah, a lot of the Qualia boys would be happy to put on there. I think uh I mean, like I said, I really love what Schmucks is doing. Maybe he'd be a good support artist for a tour. I'm trying to think of people who would like be coming up with me, because I mean, practically speaking, I'm not going to think of like artists who are much bigger. It'd be like people who are like around my level or like a little below that we could do something with, you know?
Understood.
Man, who else is like coming up? I don't know, bro. There's a lot of like I really like Lucid Slip stuff. His stuff is really cool. Who else is shoot, man? Um the boy Lila. He used to go by Vultures. His name's Tony. His music is sick. Richard Finger, duh, dude, fucking Richard Finger. I'd put Richard Finger on 100%.
My
Why didn't I
God.
think of that? That should have been my number one.
Well, you mentioned Eora, right?
What'd you say?
You already mentioned Eora, right? Like to be on the lineup with you.
Yeah.
I feel like
Wait,
they're
who?
in the chat right now.
What, Richard Finger is?
No, that was your finger. I said Eora, Iora. I don't know if you mentioned their name.
Oh no,
They're
Iora's dope
pretty.
too. Yeah,
I'm
fuck
not
yeah, man. Iora would be
saying
a
they're
great
pretty
support.
incredible as well.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. There's a lot. There's honestly a lot of really talented, like, you know, sort of like, you know, around my numbers range of people that I would love to, you know, that who I play their music a lot and, you know, everything. So yeah, it's a
If
hard
I
one to
could
answer,
throw,
man. I mean, you got to ask
I
me
could
later
throw,
when I'm like bigger and I can actually be more practical about that. You know what I
understood, but
mean?
I
But
feel like definitely the 2025 you're gonna be so much bigger. Right now we're just like really scratching the surface of the power of Daggz, and I can hardly wait to see how much higher this Daggz journey is truly gonna go. If I may throw a couple names in there, like I mentioned
yeah,
Dice Man, he's definitely worthy in my eyes. Also throw in Mikayli, if you know his name.
yeah, he's
I
sick, dude. Yeah,
I feel like those two could definitely work in like advocating to the power of Daggz. So I feel like those two
I
would
like it.
definitely be beautiful picks for that. Those are the two on my mind. I was thinking of a few others right off the bat. I'm thinking like the realm of like Deep Dark Dangerous, the type of thing. So I was thinking maybe Kiva. I was thinking maybe like people like that. But hey, I'm not Daggz.
Yeah,
You are Daggz. You're the one in control. I just can't wait to see what will come next for Daggz in this journey. So far, what we have been seeing has been absolutely incredible. The rise up, the come up has been amazing to witness, and I can hardly wait to see you absolutely destroy it in your tour with Mersiv Isno, with Super Future, and with Josh T. That it's gonna be beautiful to witness. I feel like 2025 will definitely be the year of Daggz. People in the chat
let's go.
remember that name, remember the name. I feel like Daggz is definitely going to make it. Just thank you so much for all that you do for us and for this music and for not only just entertaining us with the music, but also teaching us, empowering us, making us think, making us feel. All the things that we know that music can do for the mind, body, and soul. It's one of the most powerful things we have in this world next to love. But music is definitely a close second. Just
Yeah, it gets you
thank
there.
you
Music gets you to love sometimes, you know. Yeah,
so
man. That's so. Are
Yes,
you gonna make
thank
it to
you
any of the
so much.
shows? By
I wish I could. I
yeah.
was supposed to make it for the 24th for tomorrow, but I sadly can't. I'm working tomorrow.
Oh shoot.
But
That's a bummer, man. Well, we'll
that's the
cross
reason.
paths at some point.
Hopefully at some point. But like I said, that's the reason why I wanted to do this IG live. It's like because I want to make sure people knew. I really want to highlight the power, the prowess, the beauty that is Daggz and what he's doing, what he's giving. So that's the reason why I want to make sure I do this. Thank you guys so much for watching, listening in the chat. Sincerely appreciate it so much. And Daggz, thank you so much for all that you've done so far. All the work, all the stuff you've been grinding, trying to make a name for yourself has totally been paying off ever since 2010, 2011 to where you are now. I feel like we're hitting like almost, I'm guessing, if we're looking truly back, I'm thinking, like, I don't know, 15 years of Daggz?
Well, 15 years of me doing DJing, but I don't know if it's it'd be about, we'll say like 5 years of Daggz project. I think is kind of really what seriously that was, but
Okay.
15 years of like doing music stuff, you know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. But yeah, man, it's my pleasure to come on here, bro. Great to talk to you. I'm sure we'll meet at some point, and thanks for all the kind words and much love, dude. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much again, Daz. Thank you so much. And with that, thank you so much. And again, with that, guys, thank you so much for watching and listening. I know a lot of people were brand new to this, but this is something I really want to keep going and keep giving to the community. This is what I do. This is what I love to do. Hopefully, this little introduction to the energy and power and prowess I show to these artists, I want to sign life out to them, and this is what I love to do. So hopefully I can set this up again for the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you so much for all the people who came, who I didn't think was ever going to show up. Baseface, Mersiv, Iora, and freaking Codename Wiley. Oh my God. You guys have inspired me so much. So again, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. This is BTG Interviews, Bridging the Gap, signing out.